Everyone. So tonight we're talking about Maverick, we're talking about Bronco, and we're talking about EVs. Really, we're talking about huge Ford news. So you're gonna see me cover everything from kind of demystifying things, popular videos that make you believe, for example, make it seem like we're definitely getting an Everest and it's gonna be hybrid. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Everest. But we'll talk about the real deal behind that so that you have a good idea of what's really going on, because I don't want people rushing into anything. And I also don't want people waiting. For example, something I hear often, I'm just going to wait for those Ford EVs to be sitting on lots as inventory, and that's when I'm going to buy one. Well, good luck. You may never get a Ford EV. So that's the bad news. Now let's talk about getting things. Before we get into all the huge news, where I'll try to cover all of the Ford news. Unfortunately, some people bring old news from 6 months ago and present it as completely new news, and it gets a million views and it confuses everyone. So I'm gonna have to kind of go through all that, but we'll deal with the most immediate news. Marie, I asked her not to watch the last episode, which may or may not have made her happy. I don't know if she likes my shows.
I like your show.
Yeah, it's okay if you don't like them. I'll say it's because you're French. I'll give myself some slack. But so Marie didn't see the news in the last video where we dropped kind of big Maverick news. And I say drop, I had this news as of, I got it Tuesday at about 4 or 5 p.m. And I don't have Tuesday nights off, but anyways, Mavericks. Here's the big thing. Ordering a 2023 was going to be available for September 15th. And
September?
Yeah, September 15th for
Wow.
ordering a 2023. But before they start building people's 2023s, they need to either build you a 2022 or build you a 2023 before they build these new 2023s. Now, you could say, let's say if we're in the States, you would be COVP protected because my dealership knows what they're doing. They know that they need to send Ford a signed offer where the address and the phone number in the email, well, it matches up with the driver's license address and the name matches. So the person that orders it needs to come in and be bought by the person that had it. That's for, price protection, and it's also so that you stay in the correct place in line. Now, here's the thing. Order banks moved back a week. Now, a month. And actually, it was originally August 15th, then all Mavericks got put to the 2nd, and then everything got pushed it back by actually originally 1 month, but anyway, 6 weeks, whatever. So here's the thing. At first, I broke that news, and I didn't know if it would make sense that they would have pushed production by the same amount of time, 1 month. But here's the news. They're originally going to start building 2023s by October 24th. And now it's going to be, the factory's going to be building 2022s until November 7th. So not a straightforward, logical 1 month push like the order banks, but they're pushing it by, give or take 2 weeks, because now they'll actually start building 2023 Mavericks November 11th. The in-between days are down days. So you would think that, you've got a better chance of getting your hybrid built, right?
Yeah, and I hope it will be a 2023. Because if I have to wait a little more, why not? That could be a good thing for me. Because
we trade often, I'm happy how well you're taking this, because I didn't know, I was hoping you wouldn't cry on camera. I know you well enough.
No, but
I knew you wouldn't cry.
Each time you said, I have news for your Maverick, I'm always like, did he will say that I'm the next one to be built?
Yeah.
Do I have a VIN number? So I'm still waiting for that big news. But it's a good news anyway.
Well,
but not the big one that I was waiting for.
I even told you, I was like, you need to be on the show tonight because I have news to give you. So here's the thing. Marie's taking it well, and some people are taking it really badly. But what does this really mean? No matter what, people like Marie, ordered July 17th, got accepted in the system as a July 30th, 2021. They're going to build her before they build your brand new 2023 order, that even if you order it up at 9 a.m. on September 15th, they got to build hers first. if you're now in the Canada, and since the last 12 months, if you're in the States, that's true as long as you've been COVP approved. So customer order verification process, like I just mentioned at the beginning of the video. So Marie's protected. She will get built before if she is buildable. Now, big issues. We kept your spray and bed liner for the longest time, making you unbuildable unless you would have been a lariat. Then we switched over to plastic in early July. But that's your news. And now the even bigger news is, though, they've extended things by roughly, they're building by an extra, whatever it is, 2 weeks. But all that extra build time, it's going to be EcoBoost. And had we known that, this goes under my video playlist of had I known or must know information when ordering. Had we originally known this, we would have just gotten an EcoBoost. And maybe I would have taken it more because highway, EcoBoost, or hybrid, not much of a difference. I do almost only highway. And, you know, with me getting a Lightning, I would have said, here's the keys to the Lightning, drive through town with it. Or maybe we would have just, you know, had we known in advance it was going to be this long, Marie probably would have told me, hey, let's grab a plug-in Escape, which was our original plan. We switched to the Maverick because, yes, we love it. Oh, well, we figured we'd love it.
And we were thinking we
it'd be
will
faster.
have it soon.
Yeah, we were thinking it'd be sooner than...
1 year after, still waiting.
Yeah, so that's what's going on with that. That's our news. Now, Marie, if you notice her talking a little less in this video, that's because she's starting to get what I'm now pretty much done with. So I am a gold medalist Canadian in the sense that I got the vid 3 times, which must give me a gold medal because I must be one of the highest cases in all of Canada. I'm still alive and I'm still kicking, but now she's picking it up. So she wants, specifically, she wasn't told in advance that she's not allowed to talk or something. This isn't a prisoner situation as I got accused of in the comments section the last time we did a live, but she asked me to speak less. Also, I think you've told me you're a little shy with your accent.
Yes, as you see, I don't speak that much English anyways at home, so I'll try, but tonight it's the most voice that I could have. So I speak each day at the work, on the phone all day long. So that's the tiny little voice that I have at the end of the day. I'm sorry.
I'm drinking some great water out of my free Bronco thermos that I got at the event in New Hampshire. It was fantastic. They do an amazing job, and Marie, to help her with her voice, she is on this wonderful liquid that helps her think she feels better. So,
I'm on vacation too, so I celebrate tonight.
Now, for just final personal news before we get into the real news, because it always takes about 10 minutes of a live for people really to come in. So I throw in, oddly, kind of the personal stuff first. Anyways, on a personal level, we could not get from our regular local dealer an Everest because a lot of dealers are going to be offered, an Everglades. A lot of dealers will be offered in the Bronco situation. They'll say, hey, do you want, they'll be told or offered, you're getting an Everglades, 1 or 2 a year. Some dealers will be more, some dealers will just be 1 a year. Bronco, a lot of dealers are going to get 1 to maybe if they're a huge dealer, they're going to get 4 Raptor Broncos. As Dr. Detroit and I often like to call Raptors. I guess it's just a general Bronco thing, but I like to clarify those. Speaking of other Bronco people, I've got, if ever you want to check out a cool Everglades video that shows out the slide out table, we've got Tim. Tim sent us this for overlanding for fun. I believe he's supposed to be that Sasquatch. Anyways, I put the badge on my travel pack. So you might want to catch that video. I think it was a fantastic video. And Tim does good videos. Usually they're really like hands-on, like oil change or how this works videos. And 2 others that I really do like are All Terrain Nation, so that's great. And then there's Dwayne, who's in the process. I think maybe. Anyways, I don't want to ruin anything for Dwayne for Bronco Wild Outdoors. But anyways, the Everglades at this dealership. Here's the thing: dealerships get 1 to 4. And it's easy for a dealership to, even if they show you a serial number, it's easy to say, oh yeah, here's your serial number. Because I pushed and I was like, I require, here's a deposit. if you give me a serial number. You say it's going to be built at the end of July, and while they're now telling me, after I pushed a little more because they did send me a serial number, I said, hey, end of July has passed. It's supposed to get built the 22nd, and I still don't have a window sticker. And I didn't, I made it easy for them. All they had to do is swing at the ball, and I threw a nice easy shot. I said, look, I know that the window sticker can come out when it's produced. Has this thing been delayed by, let's say, for example, a month? And the response was, oh yes, it's been delayed a month. So I've either been given a bogus serial number, and who knows how long it'll take to get my Everglades. But this isn't my local dealership because they're not getting any. They're going to get one Raptor. I would have loved a Raptor, but I would have been third in line. So my Raptor Bronco would have been in 3 years. And I love the fact that the Everglades looks awesome. I think the 2.3 liter with an automatic 10-speed transmission to avoid my slow shifting is actually a pretty darn fast. It's a fast engine for what you expect out of a Bronco. So we've driven the 6-cylinder Jeep, and the 2.3 liter EcoBoost from Ford, I'd say definitely feels faster than the Jeep, because the Jeep gets its power at about, you start to feel it more around 4,500, 5,000 RPM, and then you're like, oh, now it's moving. Whereas the 2.3 liter with that 10 speed, it triple downshifts if need be, and then you instantly feel like, hey, this has more than enough power. I'm very happy. So I want to jump into questions. I'm going to start with one that got asked before the live, and I just want to cover it because it's a really good one to cover for everyone. So we'll do a little Q&A. We'll do a whole lot of Ford news. So we've got Ryan here. He said, early August 2021 was the date. All my order info was accepted by Ford. I did do a deposit, signed the paperwork, and gave my ID. So hopefully I'm price locked. Unfortunately, I still haven't heard anything. And then he gives a few other details. I want to clarify. Right now, basically he asked the question of, am I price protected? No, you're not price protected. For vehicles that are declared sold out on Ford's part, that means if you order during their sold out period, you're not getting that year's price protected. So you order up a Maverick right now, you can do a pre-order. And I had another question from a viewer asking, hey, should I put in a pre-order? And the answer is, if your dealership is doing pre-orders, absolutely do a pre-order, but do realize that's not locking in that 2022 price and interest rate, because when Ford says it's sold out, basically they're saying we can't make more than what we've already taken in for orders. And it also means you're not getting that price. We're sold out, like no rain checks basically. So your pricing is going to be potentially based on 2023 pricing. Now you do need, please do watch my video. My videos don't get 1 million views, and that's fine, because I'm happy that they help people. And actually I'm really frustrated when a video does get 1 million views. I love seeing small YouTube channels explode. I'm not a fan when I see a small YouTube explode for the wrong reasons, and that's when they follow the formula of bad media. So, if you have a thumbnail that says like no more dealers, and then the whole video is about like there's going to be no more dealers and this is going to resolve everything, or you only find out that that's not quite the case in the last 30 seconds of the video, which pretty much no one watches percentage wise, then you're kind of pushing out more, false info or misleading info. So back to that 2023 pricing, you might very well get the first available 2023 price. But you need to follow the 10 steps I put out in the video. A lot of it has to do, make sure the dealer knows what COVP is, so you're actually in line, so you get built, because if you're not COVP, Ford basically looks at your order and does not take it seriously. I also had a question this week saying, if the dealer didn't require me to give a deposit, does that mean I'm not COVP protected? It could be, but at least in my region, Ford is not, it's not a solid requirement that they have a deposit. In my region, they really do need that signed offer, which you also should ask for a copy. And, if you're doing pre-orders and you're a dealer, I had a dealer specifically say, hey, Johnny, what are we going to do with this? What's your idea? If you're giving an offer to a client, just write on it, we promise to sell at, and then they can, depending how well they want to negotiate this for you, they can either promise you the first available 2023 pricing and interest rates and rebates if there are any, or an MSRP based then, or they can promise to give you whatever the deal, the MSRP, the interest rate, and potential rebates are when your vehicle gets in. But those are the two I would say are strict requirements. I wouldn't sign in advance saying I'm going to wait many months and then get 5,000 markup. You need to set this up in advance, otherwise you're just asking to be taken for a walk. You're going to get the walkabout or the walk around. They'll have reasons why they need to sell it to you for 5K or 10K over. So you need to be protected. They need to COVP to have that signed offer, and you need to get a copy. It's called purchase offer or a lease offer. And a dealer that says, "Oh, we can't give you contracts in advance," they're just BSing. It's not a signed contract for selling the vehicle or starting the financing, which is often the excuse. They go, "Oh, well, we can't give you a contract. That starts the payments and that starts the warranties." No, that's a full contract. These are lease or purchase offers that a director needs to sign, in which case they're locking in. But do keep in mind, they can't lock in 2022 pricing that is sold out. So that's that. Those were some 4 huge questions I got this week. Now Marie is going through and she may very well have a question for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of comment tonight, not that much question, but I really love the comment of M. Peugeot. He said, maybe if I dance during the show, maybe Ford will give me a VIN number sooner, priority 1. So yeah, we could try. I will dance, but it's hard to dance well when you don't have music on the show.
Yeah, there's no editing in these live, so no music, no photos unless I pop up myself.
But we'll try, because I dance. If next week I have a VIN number, I will say thank you, M. Peugeot, for that trick. Do you think it will work?
Probably not. I like it when you dance, though. We used to dance in the kitchen together all the time. We need to get back to playing music and dancing.
Yeah, but with music it's better.
Yeah.
Now I'm
so,
not sure.
Speaking of Ford, I did get a new comment this week. I got someone telling me, "Hey, by the way, I work for Ford," and had a little face, like I think it was like a question mark face or whatnot. If I recall, it was on my 10 steps. So I don't think I was breaking any like top secret news saying that you need to negotiate and have things in writing with your dealer. So I don't think I'm in trouble. And I also don't think I don't think some dealers selling over MSRP is breaking news either. In any profession, in any business, there's going to be bad people, people doing bad things. There's dentists that do bad jobs. There's police officers that do bad jobs. And there's also a whole lot of dentists and police officers that do an incredible job and don't have, you can go to the dentist and one dentist can say it's 2,000 and another dentist can say it's 12,000. So there's all sorts of businesses and people in professions. And some people have integrity and others take advantage of the situation. Honey, did you have something else that you wanted me to cover here?
Yes, we have a question here from John B, but because I don't have that much voice, I will let you read it for everybody.
Okay, John B says, "Are prices announced to dealers at the same time that the order guides go out to dealers for 23 models? I know it takes the website a few weeks." Great point, John B. Yes, normally we do get the pricing. However, sometimes that pricing is just like, now here's the base price of an XL. Here's the best base price of an XLT. Now here, this option is now this price. So actually building a price where you can actually give a monthly on it can very often still be impossible. Often middle of the month when things come out, very often in the past I've seen you can build it, you know what price it is, but you pretty much, I don't even remember of a single time when a monthly could be counted. Now I pretty much always try to buy vehicles when they first come out because I'm a car freak, I'm a fanatic. I will I have holes in my socks to be able to afford more car. I wear shirts that are 10 years old. So what can you do? I love vehicles. I try to get them first up, and I can tell you that pricing, and I at this point, I don't think it's a huge secret. I do work in the industry, but I never recall a single time when pricing was available. Now, for information, really important. We've got now a huge video that's exploded, and it's going to continue to explode. It's got a picture of an Everest, and it says, bad news. And I watched the video, and I kind of get the impression like, hey, wow, if I was just, not absolutely car obsessed, I'd probably be like, hey, hun, how about instead of the Maverick, what if we wait for a hybrid Everest? There, the video even talks about a plug-in.
What if we switch again the orders and wait 1 year more?
Yeah, it works out for you. You get to drive all the channels cars.
Fun. Yeah, I'm not complaining, but it's just funny. It's kind of a joke now.
It's like Ridgeview. I know Ridgeview's got his kids both have Mavericks, 11,000 miles pretty much on both. They've been extremely reliable. My local dealer's Maverick hybrid demo that I did some towing with this winter, and I did some videos, road test videos, and all sorts of conditions. Now, that thing has all sorts of miles, never had any issues, been absolutely fantastic. But here's the news about the Everest, important for y'all to know. Maybe I'll do an episode just on this. Just because Ford offers something somewhere does not mean it's going to offer it everywhere. Like the Bronco, if you're in Europe, too bad, so sad. You're probably, who knows, you may never get Broncos. And even if the model is offered in a different area, that doesn't mean it's going to come equally equipped. So I'll go to that second. Let's finish up on the Everest. So basically the Everest, you get the idea, it's going to be a plug-in. Okay, the Everest platform is the T6 platform. It now has the capability to be a plug-in or just a regular hybrid. Regular hybrid means 1.1 kilowatt battery. Plug-in means currently a 14.4 kilowatt battery is what the T6 platform can take. Currently, there's no official news whether the whole platform can be converted to a full-out electric. That might need a whole new platform. So, a Ranger Lightning or a Maverick Lightning. In both cases, that could be more next gen, and normally the generations last 5 to 8 years. But for the Everest, we may never get that model. I think the Everest looks incredible. I'm totally on board if they have it with a 2.3 liter plug-in. I'd be completely blown away and thrilled. My dream is still a 2.3 liter plug-in Bronco, but that's a whole different story. So we can't assume that because a video gets 1 million views and has a thumbnail of an Everest and it says bad news. One, we can't actually even these days trust that there actually is bad news on the Everest, and this is my bad news. The bad news is we may never get an Everest. We might just get a Ranger, and we have to content ourselves with being happy with that. Poor unfortunate us, we get the Bronco. So, and talking about we get the Bronco, the dealer you order from, I mentioned this in the last video, I promised to talk about the importance of dealers. The dealer you get it from is so unbelievably important. My personal experience, tie this all in, I'm dealing with a dealer that, doesn't want to give me a signed offer. They did send me monthly though, so it's kind of hard to back out and say, well, no, we're going to mark you up when I specifically wrote, I'm not giving you my deposit if you can't confirm that you will not mark it up. I need an offer. And then what they did send me had a price, had an interest rate, gave a monthly. It's hard to back out because for them to back out, they have to say we are full out BSers. We're full of pooey, and we like screwing people. And in which case, I'll talk to the manager. I'll go out full Karen. I'll become an atomic Karen. I'll have my razors ready, and I'll completely shave one side of my head, and I will lose it and do everything I possibly can to upset them that is legal and can't land me in prison. However,
we should put it on video. I'll follow you with the camera.
Johnny Goes Atomic Karen at dealership.
I'm sure you will have a lot of you on that.
Yeah, because I told them straight up. I said, look, I can have special pricing through Ford. I don't expect it on the Bronco, and I'm totally willing to give you an instant deposit, world's easiest sale, but I want to ensure that you'll pay me at the price you advertise. And I just want what you are offering. without any shenanigans. And then, fought it up a little and did get an offer with a monthly. So dealer makes such an important difference because they can sell you a non-existent vehicle. They can mark it up when it shows up. They can essentially just make your life miserable. And I get a lot of comments being like, I'm not buying Fords anymore, long-time Ford buyer, but I'm not buying Fords because of what's going on. And I find that's unfortunate because I've got amazing viewers and subscribers and they tell me like, hey, in this area, Toyotas are marked up on average by model by $10,000. Markups are, like I said earlier, bad, people who behave poorly. That's just part of the population. I don't know what on a site, I don't have any analysis or data in front of me, but if I had to guess, I'd probably say that, 10% of people, the majority of the time, will do inherently bad things, and probably 2% of the population enjoys causing harm. And there's probably 2% of the population that would rather have harm happen to them than happen to others. So, there's people who most of the time behave badly. There's people who most of the time behave altruistically, think about civic virtue, think about others, put others before themselves. And then there's probably like the 90% which kind of plays in between. Well, that's the same thing for businesses and everyone in every profession. So simply put, I get worked up when people hate just on Ford. This is, don't hate on Ford, hate on human nature. This is how somewhere around 70 to 90% of the population behaves in varying degrees. And I used to work at a university. I managed residences, meaning I gave out the discipline. It means I did the programming to keep the young adults engaged. I did, educational programming. I had a team of many students that would help me accomplish these goals. So I wasn't doing it alone. The discipline was mostly just my office, closed door, one-on-one. But I managed what you could call is a micro mini society. And I can tell you from my own experiences that there truly is like 2% are just crap disturbers, and they love causing problems for other people. And you are going to get the occasional dealer that falls in that 2%. You're going to get the whole range. So do shop your dealer. Now the second reason, I'm sorry for that tangent. It looks like I had something to get off the chest. But now the other huge thing that I need to mention is some dealers, if you've ordered a Bronco and a Maverick, and if you've ordered a Lightning, it might be faster to change dealers than to continue with your current dealer. So here's an example. If your dealer put out like a Facebook ad saying that they give $1,000 or $1,500 off the Bronco, or the same thing for the Maverick, they probably picked up close to 10 years worth of reservations, and it could be many, many years. 2 years have already gone by, and you might be waiting another 2, 3, 4 years to get the model you want. And don't hate on Ford. I've mentioned in other videos, hybrids, really anything that's popular these days, you can go up to a 5-year wait. Anything electrified right now from Kia and Hyundai, you're looking at least 2 years, more like 3 years. The hybrids are mostly 1.5 to 3 years. Toyota, it's 1.5 to 5 years. Corvette, 2 years. Porsche, 2 years. So this is just the market. But here's the thing. If your dealership took way too many reservations because they went out of their way to drop all sorts of people in from everywhere, when Ford said, don't do that, just be fair, sell it at the internet price. Ford was like, don't mess around with the whole allotment system. And then some dealers, 2%ers, I guess we'll call them, decided to mess around with the whole allotment system and draw in people from all over the country. Now those dealers, you could be waiting 5, 6 years. So it's never too late to ask, when are you getting your vehicle? Now what you can do is, you ask them straight up, how many people are on the list? Where am I on the list? They might give that up pretty freely and say, oh yeah, we're so proud. We got like 3,000 Bronco reservations. And then you're like, well, where am I on the list? And usually when people lie, their face will change, and there's usually a pause before they think up of what lie they want to tell you. So if they answer you straight up, like, oh, hey, like what month did you order, or when did you put in your reservation? So here's Lightning news, because this is going to be a future problem. Dealers that lie about how long it takes a Lightning. Most Lightnings you order now, you're going to be at, give or take, a year and a half to max probably 3 years before you get it. And I say max because dealer allotment, super important. But you know, a dealership should be able to tell you, wow, we have 200 Lightning reservations. And then you're like, okay, well, where am I? Well, when did you put in your reservation? Oh, you weren't night 1, you're, you know, month 3. Oh, well, month 3, that should put you somewhere around, you know, 80th. And then ask them how many they're getting year 1 and how many they expect to get year 2. Because let's say an average dealership year 2 will probably get about 65 Lightnings, and an average dealership should have about 150 to 200 Lightnings in store. Meaning, yeah, some dealerships it's probably going to be a third or a fourth of those numbers, and some dealerships it'll be 4 times those numbers. Hence why I'm calling it an average. It means it's in the middle, median. So that was a math joke that I think I'm the only one that would ever think that's funny. Sorry, that came out wrong. So basically your Bronco, yeah, you can assume that a Bronco, if you order a hardtop, it means you're definitely going to wait 2 years. And that is true for some dealers, and it's probably going to end up being true that it could take 3 years at some dealers, especially if they don't COVP, and you just every year, if you're not COVP'd, you risk every year kind of just falling back, no more order. You start back from 0. So, and then you've got these other dealers with huge lists, because locally, where they did things really everything by the book, well, the waiting list for Broncos is not tremendous. And if you order a hardtop, well, the good news is hardtops are actually building up at, and I had the exact notes on me. I had the beginning of the month, August notes on me. They're now in one of the upstairs bathrooms. So I almost feel like I should excuse myself to get that. No, they're just next door. So let's say hard tops were at about 60. I'll tell you right now about where they're at. They're at about low 62 to 64% for early August. So they're building enough hard tops, and Ford has pumped money into the factory, and the company that builds those hard tops has pumped in even more money to make sure that production goes up. And production truly is up at 60-some%. You really are matching demand. Of course, there's some catch up to do, but I've seen some hard tops come in, 2-door hard tops ordered in January. 2-door Bronco hardtop ordered in January 2022. No reservation, just showed up. 4-door hardtop, wild track. So you've got multiple constraints there. You've got the wild track, you've got the hardtop, and it showed up. And it was about, roughly 7-8 months. So hardtop can definitely be 6 to 8 months at the right dealership. Soft top is still faster. Really, the huge thing you want to avoid at all costs is the paint protection film. And I personally wouldn't order from factory the Safari Bar. It's generally has always played around 16%. And I highly suspect in the initial reservations, because we all kind of fell in love with that Safari Bar. It looked really cool. And it was a lot of reservations are sort of like, their purchases kind of, you could call them emotional purchases as opposed to like a logical, balanced out, thought out purchase. So a lot of us were kind of like went all in. And I know originally I almost put in a reservation rate night 1, and it would have been a first edition. And Marie was like, how much do you think that's going to cost? And I kind of told her what I thought it would cost. And she was like, we're not millionaires. Like, calm down. You're emotional right now. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm almost never emotional. Usually the only emotion I have is anger or happiness. So yeah, and I don't make any decisions emotionally. And I was like, you're right. I'm going to go take a walk. So I walked away and took a breather. So my Bronco ended up being far too logical. The first one was a Badlands with no heated seats in Canada.
Yeah, it was cold. I needed to put a blanket.
Yeah, it was, you burnt calories all winter. Normally we put weight on in the winter, and I think Marie lost weight in the winter. And that wasn't some like wrong... that wasn't me behaving inappropriately and unkindly towards her. It was just, I made a logical choice, and every function on that Badlands Bronco was well thought out. So anyways, that's that. Now the Explorer in China. the Explorer in China. And I'm sorry, I'm going to walk away because I'm starting the need to cough. And I'm also going to come back with my notes. So, Marie, I don't know. Can I leave you in charge? You can talk about what you think. Do you want me to show you the Everest photos, or do you have something in mind that you want to say?
Yeah, it's been a few minutes that Greg had a special demand. He was saying no dancing, just show the dog, so I can go search Winston. He's just right there. So, and after that, John will be able to respond to a good question that we received too. So say hi, Winston. So I'm sorry for the people who are not dogs lover, but it was a special demand from Greg. So hi, Greg. Okay. So I'm just waiting for John. Is coming back. Yeah. Do you have your notes?
I think you brought them downstairs.
Yeah, but this is the notes that I was sawing in the bathroom this morning. So maybe you just take it with you and you don't remember.
Nothing like being overly prepared and then not expecting to be that prepared. So yeah, I was overly prepared. I was thinking about the show last night, probably at close to like 11:30 when I just finished editing the last video that I'd worked on late Tuesday night. I get about an hour a night most nights to actually do these things, except Fridays I get to finish at 5. So yeah, the notes. There's a few things I want to cover. If you've got an F-150, if you can avoid Pro Power on board scales, even though it's really cool, it's likely going to slow things down. A spray and bed liner on anything Ford and really GM, just spray and bed liners. Forget all about them. Don't get them done at factory. And wheel well liners, don't get that on F-150. Now, anything that you can think adds a whole lot of microchips, also try to avoid them, like, the multi-contour seats, all the fancy seats at Lincoln. And ask your dealer, is there anything I can choose to remove from my order in order to get it sooner? There's special codes they can click on to help move things ahead.
Still have trouble with his voice too. We're so sorry.
Yeah, I am sorry about that. So yeah, the notes here really were that hard tops are at 62%. So Ford and the factory, the company that makes those hard tops, have resolved them. We can even start expecting to see some painted hard tops. I think first year of painted hard tops, I highly suspect it's only going to be offered for Broncos that are special edition, and I wish the Everglades would fall into that. Maybe for 2023, if they have the Everglades for 2023, once the order guides open up, maybe we will find out that there's a painted top, but there definitely will be painted tops on things like the Heritage Edition, and we'll see what the heck is an Oats Edition. Maybe it'll have a painted top, kind of like the Quaker Oats person with their white hair. Maybe that's what that is about. I highly doubt. That's not actual educated speculation. That's highly uneducated joke guesstimate. I could tell you all about the trimmer package, but I've got a whole video on that, so there's more info that came out on the trimmer. Main thing, I love how it's got advanced part-time all-wheel drive, of course, and its special drive modes, and of course trail control on the Tremor Maverick. Trail control is pretty cool. Now, in China, the Explorer, I'm sorry I've tried to say this, but I got cut off by my voice. In China, the Explorer is going to have a 27-inch screen. Basically, I'll try to show the photo here. Basically, the whole vehicle dash is one big screen. So, sorry, you've got, everything's in reverse here. So you've got that here. Basically, the point is you've got all screen, goes on for days. Looks like one of the high-end Mercedes that you'd spend over $100,000 on. Mercedes can see $100,000 of markup, by the way. So it's not just a Ford thing. But yeah, really beautiful screen, and that's, I'm pretty positive that's going to be China only market. So even when a model is offered in different, even if the same model is offered in different markets or all the markets, it still can have differences, which brings me back to the bad news. We may very, very well never get an Everest plug-in. And by the way, the Everest, it could be a plug-in or it could just be a regular hybrid. You know, the current Explorer is just a hybrid. It's not a plug-in, but then the Aviator is a plug-in. Now, here's some really exciting news. Ford, just recently, Ford's CEO, again, was talking about things, and there's talk at Ford, and I can tell you that an electric, a hybrid Ranger, unbelievably likely hybrid Bronco, it's gonna happen. Maverick, hybrid all-wheel drive, I'm still positive that's happening. Plug-ins, still positive it's happening. It's just a question of time, and normally they kind of go in phases and they kind of up the electricity, you could say. And that's just the way it is. So Bronco, Maverick, Ranger, all our favorite icons are going to be going electric. It could take a little longer for them to go full electric. I kind of have this feeling that with Blue Oval City coming out in 2025, we're going to start seeing our favorite icons go full electric more towards 2025 until 2028, 2030 to really get them all electrified. But in the meantime, we'll probably have regular hybrids as well as plugins. So I do suspect
That's the future.
that's the future. And I'm really hoping in the order guides to find out that the Maverick is going all-wheel drive hybrid as a minimum, and I'd be surprised to see the plug-in already. I think that's going to be a mid-model refresh, which is usually on the 3rd or 4th year, depending if you're going to have a 5-year or 8-year generation span. Let's find out what that new Mustang is going to have. That's going to be coming out at the next major auto show.
That's cool. Do you have the time for questions?
I absolutely do.
Yeah. So we have a good question here about the co-pilot and luxury package on the Maverick XLT. They are constrained, so can these be put after the truck is delivered?
No.
No, it's you cannot add it after that.
Yeah. You can. Yeah, no, unfortunately, unless you really go into some deep, dark aftermarket stuff, something like, for example, blind spot detection in the mirrors, you can absolutely not easily add that after the fact. So you're either getting Co-Pilot 360 straight up, or you're just not getting it at all. Whatever the model that does interest you, try to get a hold of the order guide, or when you're on the Build and Price website, there's these little eyes with circles around them. Click on them as much as possible. And also there's opportunities where you can click, for example, exterior features, and they will list pretty much every single exterior feature. So that's what you need to look at, because sometimes people figure, for example, on an Escape, a lot of people will figure, oh, well, I must have to get like an SEL or a titanium to get, blind spot detection. And from recollection, every Escape has blind spot detection. And every Escape has, for example, automatic braking. It's emergency braking. It's not an adaptive cruise control. So it's important to really look at the specifics. Now, when I do a video, of course, I can't possibly remember every single Ford model, every single trim, and what that comes standard with. I don't think that's possible for a human being, and I can't load AI into my head as much as I probably would do it if I could. But anywho, I do these videos where I cover them, and also Tim Bartz is really great. He'll, when an order guide comes out as well, he'll cover like this is what comes with this model. And anytime I do a build and price, I like to do that through a build and price, but my build and price always cover this don't be fooled section, and I'll be like, well, now we're working on the Lariat, and it says it has this, but don't be fooled. This right here, the XLT had it as well. They're just repeating it. So don't think you have, if this is what you want, don't just stop only on the Lariat and figure, oh, I need a Lariat because that's what I want. They're just repeating what was on the one before. So that's how my build and prices go. Really detail oriented, because I want everyone to get the best possible deal and to walk away with the vehicle that most fits their needs and wants.
We have another question about the package that we could have. When it's time to place a 2023 Maverick order, should we forget the Co-Pilot 360 and don't even try for it?
Fantastic question, and I love that you trust me to predict the future, but you shouldn't. No one can predict the future. If so, I'd be worth billions. And that's really not the case. Marie is not with me because I'm a billionaire. So I can't predict the future, but currently I can sort of try to read tea leaves. And CEO Jim Farley did say that originally he was talking about, end of 2022, if I recall. Now he's talking about early 2023, that the chip crisis would start to be resolved. I think it's supposed to start subsiding at the end of 2022 and start to be resolved in Q1 was the prediction. So I'd say if I'm going with the 2023, I love the added safety that Copilot does offer. As much as I like to think that I'm just an amazing driver and I don't need that stuff, I currently don't have Copilot out of one of my Bronco mirrors. Completely my fault. I broke it. These hands
was working well.
These hands aren't good for little wires and little tiny clips.
Tell me why you wanted to switch the mirrors.
Because the mirrors that I was installing look really awesome.
Accessories all the
they
time.
look awesome, and they're adding more vision, and I like added safety. So anyways,
but it's just mirror. It works well anyway.
If it ain't, what is it? How does it go? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It wasn't broke, and I tried to fix it. So I didn't follow some of the most common golden rule mail, the golden book.
Or the best rule ever, leave it to the professional. That's a good one too.
Well, I don't want to get into that one. I could talk about that for a really long time, but anyways. So yeah, if you like 360, don't worry about it. I do suspect that the delays off 360 come this winter aren't going to be anything like we've seen in the past, and it's mostly just going to be about getting to your turn for builds. I do suspect batteries are going to continue to be an issue. I do suspect also that plastic will continue to be an issue. So I think throughout 2023, unless everyone starts playing on a global scale, if people start to be really nice and friendly and treat each other with respect and love, so I don't see that happening anytime soon, unfortunately. That kind of behavior is pretty rare. So I think plastic is going to continue to be a major issue because that's the base of that is taken from far off. I don't want this video to completely be shut down by YouTube because I say certain keywords that they don't like to hear. So because of course it's natural, they're trying to avoid anything that could be put under the category of propaganda. So I'm just gonna say plastic issue, yes. Copilot 360 issue for the next couple of months, yes, but after that, late 2022, early-ish, basically winter 23, I really don't think it's going to be much of an issue. So if you like it, go for it. Now, I do love how in the comment section people are like, hey, don't buy anything you don't really want. Yeah, I agree with that completely. What did Dr. Detroit here have to say?
We have other questions, but I can go there too. We have a lot of comments tonight. Thank you, guys.
So in the meantime, sorry, while Marie's here, she wants to do the questions and help out. So, hey, are you guys going to give us kids or is it Winston? Marie loves that question. If I answer that, I'm going to have a really bad weekend.
Do you want the response from John or me?
Yeah. Yeah, so
I could have 12 little poodles like that. I love it so much.
Yeah, Maggie keeps asking me for another poodle. I'm like, maybe when we hit 20,000 subscribers, that'll allow me an extra poodle. But yeah, I know. So anyways, I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, as they say. Johnny, people are getting nicer already. Things are looking better. Well, I really do hope so. Yeah, there was a shipment of grain, so that got through. Let's hope that continues. But plastic. So yeah, avoid plastic, avoid rubber, really avoid any and all accessories. Get those shortly, or you can order them up whenever you want, but your parts department might not hold them for you for 6 months. So work that out with your parts department. Anyways, you could always buy them, take them home, because they probably don't want to keep them in stock under your name. They'll probably disappear and go to someone else's order that needs them in an emergency situation. And then if it happens to fall BO, well, then you might end up being BO, and sometimes things can be out for 3 months. So order them now, bring them home. You will get your Maverick, you will get your Bronco, but do consider that you might want to change dealerships. If you do change dealerships, it doesn't mean canceling your original order. To be fair with people, what it really does mean is you order up at a second dealership because your first dealership didn't pass my questions test. You know, they're either not COVPing you, they're not promising you written promise, signed offer, so who knows what price you're going to pay, or they just fail the whole how many allotments do you get roughly per month versus, you know, how many orders in total do you have for this model, how many allotments do you get per year. So, you know, like I said earlier, a Lightning, a dealership should know, yeah, I'm probably going to get about, you know, 65 Lightnings as 2023s. Well, if they tell you you're number 400 on their list and they're getting 65 for 2023, yeah, shop around a dealership. But soon as you get a build at one of those, a VIN at one of those dealerships, make sure you cancel with the other, because that dealership is really penalized if that vehicle comes in and you don't take it, because then they fail the name match policy. If you go beyond, if you lose more than 20% of the customers you officially ordered for under the COVP, well, then you're not getting builds and VINs for a month. So not only are you being nasty to that dealership if you don't tell them, you're also being potentially nasty to all the people that ordered with them. So be nice to each other, be fair. If you want your dealership to be fair with you, you know, what I find is amazing is if you're the type of person that always made sure that, you know, you did everything to make sure you got the vehicle at dealership cost, either because you had access to invoices due to certain online programs, and you're just like, I'm only buying this if I get this at cost. But now you're also the type complaining that, you know, you're the dealer that you used to buy vehicles at cost for, or try to, that now they're trying to ask you for $5,000 more. Well, it sounds like your dealer's nasty, but so are you. So you should get in bed together. You make a perfect couple. Go have, you know, Maverick babies together, and, you know, you deserve each other. But if your dealer's fair with you, please do be fair with them. You know, treat the other people in line waiting for the vehicle. Make sure they don't get a month's penalty. Sorry for that bed sheet reference. Sometimes it must be this water I'm drinking. I pretty much don't drink alcohol anymore. So this water I'm drinking, it is carbonated, so the bubbles are getting to my head. So let's change the subject, because I'm a total geek.
Yeah, we have another question here about the Maverick 2023. Any insight of much the price could increase by?
Yeah, historically, prices always changed without changing. So more often than not, when the new vehicle came out, the interest rate, the price, you know, it was kind of cool to be able to say, hey, it's the same price, wow. But then the interest rate would go up a little, so that they would, and this isn't just a Ford thing, this is just a manufacturer thing. They're going to keep up with inflation roughly one way or another. So traditionally, that meant they'd find, you know, on an F-150, that's, let's say, 50,000. Well, if it goes up 2%, because that's where inflation used to be at, well, they'd find a way to make it $1,000 more when it first come out. Or sometimes the very first month or two, this is really insider observation, but for the first month or two, to sort of deal with that whole excitement, and also to help get the old inventory out, they'd come up with a really high interest rate. So that is an awesome question that brings me to something I wanted to show, and I would have forgotten without your help. So live viewers, you're the best. I love hanging out, geeking out on numbers together. So here's an example. Explore the 2022 F-150, and they're showing, you know, 72 months at 0.99. So here's a way to deal with inflation, and this is official. 2023 comes out, the interest rates that dealers are being given are 4.49 and 4.99. So if you think about the difference between 0.99 and adding almost 4%, you can figure inflation this year is what, I don't know, 7%. Let's say it ends at 7%. Well, they're going to get there on 100 grand, that's 7,000, 50 grand, it's 3,500. So let's say on the average sale of an F-150 in Canada, that works out to $5,000, or in US dollars, let's say that works out to $4,000 as average cost of production going up. Well, you can expect them to make that 4,000 back with that interest rate. Now, traditionally though, to get the old inventory out, it would always come out at a crazy high interest rate back when, 0% and 0.99 or, 3.99 but 12,000 in rebates. That was the norm. Well, they'd still have a couple months of high pricing on the new models to get the old models out, so they're less appealing. However, now there's no old inventory to get out. So this 4.49 on an F-150 and 4.99, so all close to 4% increase, really could be what's gonna go down. Now, with the Maverick, if the price goes up and the interest goes up, well, then I could see that happening for the first month or two, but then maybe if they already got what they needed out of the price, then maybe the interest rate will go down as months go on, but that's all going to depend on future inflation. If it goes back down to 2% inflation, you can expect whatever the initial pricing is to calm down. And I do need to have an episode because this all relates to actually the used vehicle market. The bubble is bursting. On average, things were up by 30%, which means, a Bronco that you can make money on when you sold it after, 9 months. Let's say that's a case of making 140% on your vehicle. Well, average vehicle went up by, popular ones went up, but not extremely popular, went up by about 30%. Some models just aren't popular and they just didn't go up, or they went up by only 5 or 10%. So that would be models that you currently see sitting on lots. They're not sitting on lots because, Dodge has some sort of magical recipe where they're producing 30% more than they used to produce. Everyone's producing less. Toyota and Honda are just straight up about it, and they advertise, they publicize that they're making 30% less, let's say. But Dodge 1500s, they're not making 30% more. Wranglers, they're not making 30% more Wranglers. And I'm not saying these are bad vehicles. I'm just saying they're less popular. And actually, for the Dodge Ram 1500, demand has gone down, and of course the production's gone down, but they just have them on the lot because there's not a huge lineup for them. And I'll say it straight up, I love the look and the sound of a lot of Chrysler products in general. As a generalization, which I'm usually against generalizations, but this one is all pretty solid model by model. Generally higher fuel economy, more fuel consumption out of the Chrysler brand. So there are some nice spots. I often will find their exteriors good looking, their interiors can be good looking, but then what bothers me more so is in regards to long-term reliability and poor fuel efficiency, which means that, do I really like the Jeep 4xe, the plug-in Jeep? Yeah, I love that. That's incredible. I think that's fantastic setup. Would I want to own one for 20 years? No, because it drives me crazy if something breaks, unless I broke it, and then in which case I drive myself crazy. But I can't replace myself with a newer, better model. So what can you do? So I feel like we've got a question here.
No, I'm looking at the chat because tonight we have so much comment. I see that you have a question about the COVP, but I guess you already spoke a lot about that tonight. But yeah. I can go if you want to check.
Yeah, I can always quickly covered. Do like a 30-second response and then cover a little bit of remaining news.
Perfect. I just need to find it. Okay. Perfect.
No worries. So in the meantime, I will mention that Ford, and some of these awards, I take them lightheartedly because I've always felt that you can kind of buy awards. I know when I was a manager in the university system, I could literally buy myself an award and be labeled and be able to put it on my CV and say that, I'm just this amazing manager of residences. And I got offered hey, do you want to buy this award? This is what it costs. This is what it's going to come with. You can put it on your CV, blah, blah, blah. Well, I feel the automobile industry has a bit of that. And then also there's always, like in science, what was your criteria of the survey? You can call something the year's best truck and it can still be a heaping pile of unreliable farm waste. And you can still be named best truck like 3 years in a row. So, it goes to the question, like, what's your criteria for judging? Are you just basing it on looks? Are you just basing it on exhaust sound? Because a 5.7 liter Hemi has an amazing sound. Yeah, I'll give it all the awards, day, all night. It wins. But then, what are you looking at? What's your criteria? So we'll talk about awards in really quickly. So the 2022 Ford F-Series lineup wins Best Resale Value Award. Now, at least the title lets you know this is a specific award. So yeah, Ford resales on their trucks, the Mustang, incredible. Ford Maverick is Best Resale Value Award. Ford Mustang Mach-E wins Best Resale Award. So basically everything that's truck or electric at Ford is winning awards for amazing resale value. So yes, the market in large has gone up by 30%, but just recently that expanded market balloon, the values had all ballooned, and now they by an average of 30%. But some models like the Bronco, let's say 140%. A Mach-E used sells more than a new one. So in some cases, the balloon was much bigger than for others. But in general, it was 30%, and it's gone down by about 10 to 15%. So of the craziness, half of it is gone. And that does affect, in a certain way, new vehicle prices. Because if the used market is wildly expanded, there is a bit of trickle into the new market. And of course, having such long wait times also doesn't help. But do remember, most manufacturers haven't exploded their prices. Most dealerships of most manufacturers are the ones doing the ballooning of new vehicle prices. And I had one person comment just recently that they had two trades, and they know their trades on average were worth $5,000 more each, but that their Maverick, if they waited longer for their actual order to get in, yeah, they'll get it at a better price, but they could get one live with $5,000 of markup. Well, they did the math. And this was like 2 weeks ago, right before the balloon, the market crashed. It didn't crash, just we're going back more to a normal place. We're at about 15% over value. So they're like, look, I've got 10 grand extra with my trades, $5,000 more for the Maverick. So they jumped on the deal because they still saw it as a deal, because their math is spot on, and they removed emotion from the equation. The emotion would be, I'm so mad at Ford because of this dealership markup, $5,000 markup. That's purely emotional, because why would you be mad at Ford, the manufacturer? Ford most manufacturers and dealerships have these contracts where the dealership, there was no protection of price, and that has always been horrific for dealerships. Dealerships have always been on the losing end of that, and buyers, we were always on the winning end of that. That's why you could get MSRP, you could get the internet price, and you can also say, well, I want winter tires. And you could still get that whole internet price, and then you get your winter tires. So that means that if the dealership was going to make, $2,000 on a Honda CR-V, middle to high level of trim, now the winter tires, if they cost $1,000, they're only getting $1,000 for having that unit. And that unit, they're paying a salesman, they're paying interest when it's sat on the lot, and they're paying a wash team. They'll probably have, in between interest and payouts, they probably are spending $1,000. So the profit of $1,000 is break even. And I know all sorts of different manufacturers and dealerships, and I can tell you that it wasn't uncommon practice to emotionally justify, well, we're going to sell this at $0 in the system, but it's okay. We have a new client and they'll bring their vehicle to service. But $0 at the system means, you pay a couple $100 to the salesman, you pay a couple $100 in time and employees to wash the inside and outside of the vehicle, and you probably pay about a good $500 to $1,000 in interest, because back then vehicles would sit on lots often for an average of 3 to 7 months. Some vehicles would sit on a lot for 14 months before it got sold. Famous example that I have, well, not famous, but I'll try to make it famous, 2 Boss 302 Mustangs. They sold, they sold pretty much cost, fake cost, because that's before expenses. But they sold at a loss, really. And the price they sold, 6 years later, they're on the used market for more than the initial window, and they're currently now still more than the initial window, but those vehicles sold for like at a loss. They sold for about $3,000 or $4,000 below the window sticker and below whatever the internet rebates were back then. So that's a case I remember very clearly. Now you've got a question. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. We have so much tonight. So, for low, ask if I ordered my Bronco Badlands in 2021, should I ask my dealer for COVP? All I have is the Ford order sheet with no signature. I did let them make a copy of my driver's license.
Okay, so yeah, amazing question. You've got to ask them straight up. Did you COVP my order? And when it's a Bronco, the initials are the same, but they should understand you. It's basically, did you make my order with Ford official? Did you attach my name and my address and my email? If their answer is no, yeah, I would drop in an order at another dealership. And I know an excellent place you could drop an order in a dealership, and that's Long MacArthur. My buddy Tim Bartz, his team will take care of you. I know you will get excellent service and everything will be fair, good, honest. Well, when you've got a good leader, you can expect the team to fall in line, other than like sometimes, you find out someone's true character when they've worked somewhere only, on the 5th or 6th month. But generally, you've got a good leader. Overall, you'll get good results. So yeah, I would definitely check if, for that, I'd also make sure that they do give you a signed offer. Even if that signed offer, let's say, a signed offer these days can be a bit of a compromise. It can be, we promise you to sell at the first available 2023 price. And it all depends when you ordered. For example, this year in 2022, most of the year the Bronco was sold out. Most of the year the EcoBoost Maverick was sold out. And the hybrid Maverick has been sold out since November 15th. So it's actually a dealership that sold a Maverick in December 2021 can't protect that price. It was in sold out mode. So in that case, I'd be totally okay with accepting, if I had a hybrid, if we would have ordered it up in December and we'd be getting first available 2023 price and that first available interest rate, or if when it comes in, the promotion is better, that we'd get to, pick between those two, well, then I'd be very happy with that. But that just needs to be written down and signed by a director.
Perfect. We have another question about the COVP from Jim Diaz. He says, on pre-order for Maverick, dealer says that the COVP compliant, but they don't give you an order sheet until they put in order. Is that correct?
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, they're saying yes, we COVP, so that's good. They're not like, what is that? That's a real bad sign. But yeah, right now, if I'm understanding correctly, it's like the Maverick or whatever model, if it's ordered during that sold out phase, yeah, they naturally don't want to sign you a sheet saying we will sell it to you at this price, because they're not getting that price. They're not going to get theoretically they can sell a vehicle at any price. It just, they could sell it $10,000 under cost, but they will lose $10,000. So signing that is pretty much legally saying, yeah, this is the price we're going to sign. So, I don't expect everyone to have gone to have a law degree, and not every dealership, it's normal that every dealership doesn't have a lawyer. I certainly am not a lawyer. I did a year of law school, but I do understand, I remember the whole steroid scandal in baseball, and I realized that an asterisk is an amazing thing. You just need to asterisk that and say, you put in your little clause, and you can write it by hand or you can have it typed out, and you just put we will sell at this price. And if they give you an explanation and it makes sense to you and you feel it's fair, well, then go ahead. And I think right now, an explanation of a dealership saying, hey, you know what? This is a pre-order. I can't lock in 2022 price. It's a pre-order. 2022 prices are sold out, but here I'm going to write that I promise to sell you at 2023 price. If they say first available 2023 price, well, then it's cool, because that means they are going to COVP and they're going to take the time to do that process, to do a claim, because their computing system is going to say they're losing, whatever the inflation price increase is throughout the year, but they need to ask for, they need to do a special claim, and they need to get that back. And you can also ask, a dealership might not know all the terms, or your salesman might just be like looking at you. Remember, most salespeople haven't worked at a dealership, for let's say 5, 10, 15, or 30 years. So you might ask for a DORA sheet, and they might look at you completely blanked. They might also not be comfortable sharing all the information that's on a DORA, but they can at least send you the part that shows, advertised price, because basically when order banks open up, it's only then that they're going to get DORA sheets. So until then, until you get that sheet in your hand as a dealer, you don't really know what price you're going to be able to protect. Once you have that DORA sheet, that first price, more, if I recall, more towards the left, because I don't have one in front of me, but I think they might also show cost on them. I know dealer invoices definitely do. So it's normal if a dealer doesn't want to show you the whole dealer invoice, but they can definitely show you what's on the left side. And I think the DORAs, maybe they don't show, maybe they only show the, I think they only show the actual MSRP that it gets locked in, and that's what they can price protect you on, and they just have to do a claim. So they should know how to do that, and if they don't, again, you might want to consider changing dealerships, because if they don't know how to price protect, they very well might not know how to COVP. It kind of all goes hand in hand with just knowing what you're doing.
We have a question from Kimmers, France. She said we have a 2022 Maverick hybrid with 10,000 miles. Sorry, cool. Here in Canada it's kilometers. For you it's miles. So love it. But we are now thinking to getting an EcoBoost all-wheel drive. So when can we order?
We can order September 15th. If the date doesn't change, I'll keep you all updated on that, of course, and I'll do my best. Sometimes I'll wait 2-3 days just because I only have an hour of available time most nights of the week. And sometimes I wait 2-3 days to see where the dust settles. I'm big on watching the dust settle and thinking about different variables in place, so that when I say something, I'm like, you know what, based on immediate knowledge, this is the right thing to say. So just a little heads up. I'm going to assume that this is the first time I actually tried to do a live with my better speaker hooked in. And I hope our voices aren't making it seem like our sound is worse. I'm hoping that the sound actually is better in this evening's live. The image is definitely better because we're no longer doing it off of the laptop. We're doing it off of the phone. Really, big secrets here. I'm doing it off. I deliberately went out of my way to get the best cell phone and spent, way out of what I would normally consider my budget, because I try to be very reasonable in all my purchases. I try to kind of get like a Badlands when it comes Badlands, everything you could say. But I spent like 2 times, 3, 4 times more than I would normally spend on a cell phone. But it's so that we could have a good image. So it's paying off. And we get more drone footage, but first night I was trying to show off, and I wanted to show it to the father-in-law, and I drove that right into the side of the house. Well, hold on. I had it hover in front of the door, and he was impressed. He's like, oh, it's hovering at the door. And he's like, what are you going to do now? Because the screen was closed. So, of course, I had it hover there, and I was going to go open the screen door and fly it into the house and show it to him. But the tiniest little bit of wind, there was a light breeze, and it just ate the wall. And then, of course, we brought it inside, and spent all sorts of money on this drone, so do avoidance. And, of course, lucky me, nothing comes set up on drones. So if you're a drone company, or if as drone buyers we want to put pressure on companies, why don't you just have those pre-programmed? I don't understand why you send them to us so they don't function for 40 minutes, because there's nothing that says press here and program. And then after not functioning for 40 minutes, it goes into crackhead mode and ruins your paint on the ceiling, and it gets you in total trouble with your wife, or if you're younger, maybe your mom. But I'm in trouble. Ceiling's still not fixed. I do YouTube videos instead of fixing stuff around the house.
But that's fine. At the same time, the ceiling, we don't look at it each day, so
So I just need to stop bringing it up, and I'm golden. I understood.
But that it could be worse, so no, that's fine. We have another question here on the Bronco. If you order the hard top separate, is it difficult to switch between the two tops?
Oh yeah, well, first of all, if you get a soft top with the idea of getting a hard top later, currently they're $10,000, so they're a fortune. Prices will eventually come down, probably be more like along the lines of what you'd shop in regards for a Jeep, but you're probably looking at 3,000 or 4,000 way down the road. I'm thinking more like in 2-3 years. If you order both, if you take the model soft top and hard top, do expect to wait an extremely long time, no matter how good your dealership is, no matter how lucky you are getting a dealership that did things right. And does that fully answer it, or? I want to make sure I cover the whole thing.
Yeah.
So where was the question? I want to make sure I'll just reread it. And
that's a good question. I'm already down. It was about if you take the top separately, if it's hard to switch between the two tops.
Oh, okay. So once you have both tops, no, it's not too hard to switch. The soft top is super easy to take off. You've got two clips, you put it back. You've got a little gray clip in the middle. It goes back. Well, sorry, before it goes back again, you got to take out your little windows. And then you have a few bolts in the back. So the soft top's easy to remove. Now, if you were then to install the hard top, the problem is without damaging, the back section of the hard tops are a little heavy, and you really should have two people, or if you have a hanging contraption and you can lower it down into place, that's always probably the ideal option. You don't want to just be, even when you're carrying something. Marie was walking with her cell phone and wine, and somehow there ended up being cell phone. She goes, oh, she's like, oh no, there's juice everywhere. And I was like, it's okay. As long as it's not cell phone juice, which is $1,000 accident, we're not going to worry about $1 worth of wine. Don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up. Well, a hard top, if you drop it like she spilled that wine, yeah, you're out thousands of dollars. So honestly, if you're in Arizona and it rains 4 days out of the year, hard top, great, because you can just take it off and leave it off. But at that point, why don't you just get a soft top and take it off and leave it off? I talked to lots of Jeep people, and a lot of the Jeep people I talked that did have two tops were like, my hard top lived in the garage. I've got another guy that told me my hard top became a doghouse because they just like the simplicity of either being zero top, or in our region with lots of rain, when it's more people in my own region, they say, well, no, with the rain that pops out of nowhere, you need to be able to quickly close your top. You don't want to be trying to hold part of your roof in the back. If you do go for that full top off experience with the hard top, you need a big garage, you need a lift, you don't want to be carrying that around. Hey, Tim Bartz, howdy ho. Great to see you. The legend is in the house, the #1 Ford guy for the most reliable information. Tim Bartz deserves to have all his videos at 1 million views, because if Tim Bartz had 1 million videos, 1 million views on all his videos, I wouldn't need to do videos. I could just relax, and like, we're comfortable in life, and YouTube isn't about money. It's just YouTube happened because I was just upset about misinformation. It's like this week I was like, oh, I gotta make a video, and really
it all started with the Bronco. So
yeah, it all started with Bronco misinformation. And I wanted to get the news out about, hard tops creating delays, and, what dealer, make sure to order at the right dealer. And I remember the whole Bronco story, people were like, wow, this dealer's offering $1,000 off, let's go. And I'm like, no. It's like Marie when she was on the beach in Outer Banks, and I was not screaming, but I was saying no, and she understood go. Well, that's how the whole Bronco ordering system went down. And then you'd have all constant people being like, no, you order exactly what you want, you don't compromise. But then there's people, and it sucks because a lot of them huge delays are dealer created at this point. We've got 62% of hard tops being, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were kicking me because I'm not allowed to talk about this. No. Censorship over here. I call her the government. So we've got 62% of production can go to hardtops. That means if in a given month they say, let's say we've got a great month and they make 10,000 Broncos, 6,200 can be hardtop Broncos. That is an amazing turnaround. It means problems are solved. The hardtops I am seeing coming in are pretty perfect. Now, if you're really, really scrupulous and you're really nitpicky, just avoid the hardtop, because yeah, there's sometimes little on the little bend. You're like, oh, I would have liked, and actually it's kind of me, let's say. I'm kind of like, oh, I'd really like, a little painted line here to cover up that it's the seam. But the hard tops are generally pretty good unless you're a little crazy like myself. I sell vehicles because I'll get a dent and I'll be like, oh, and it just drives me crazy. So that's
true.
That's me. That's why I'm not allowed to have a black vehicle, because she does not want conversations to be about the swirl marks in the paint.
Yeah, with the new Mustang, I was like, no, you should not take that color, but he took it. But he's always looking at the scratch on the car, and when a scratch happens, he says, okay, I need to sell it now. So it's always that's what happened. We have another question here from Tim, another Tim.
Okay.
There's a lot of Tim tonight. Would Ford go to a subscription service for battery pack when the time comes to replace? As we know, the batteries go bad after constant charging.
Yeah, I've got a whole video on what not to do with a battery. Battery experiences can be amazing, and they can also be so-so. And at Ford, the parameters won't allow you to have a horrible battery experience, because charging is slow from 0 to 15% and also slow from 80 to 100%. But I highly doubt prices will ever be affordable with current batteries to ever replace them. Right now, if you were to replace a battery on a Mach-E, it is almost the entire price of the Mach-E. Now, volume could bring those prices down a little, but I think with how few producers there are of lithium and whatnot, prices will stay high, because money, capitalism, stocks. If you're running one of the few companies that control lithium, even if you can sell it for a lower price, why would you? You're responsible to serve your shareholders, and your job is dependent, and your $1 million bonus is dependent on increasing the share price. So I think what will probably happen and be more likely is, one, electric vehicles are going to be kind of more like cell phones, just not on a yearly thing. Some companies will go to complete, basically, kind of using it like a taxi that just shows up. So with autonomous driving, you'll just punch in your cell phone, vehicle will be outside for when you need to go to work. It'll go to work and then it'll go serve somewhere else. We can expect some of that. We can also see more turnover. And if we are at a point where we get to keep our electric vehicles for 20 years, it's going to be more an instance when it comes time to changing the battery, to changing to a battery that's a whole different battery, a whole different process. I do not think in 20 years we're going to be talking lithium ion batteries. I think we're going to be talking, who knows by then, but even in 10 years, we're going to be talking about, for example, aluminum ion batteries. Even Ford, right in the near future, we're talking about iron phosphate, lithium iron batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries, and who knows, maybe they'll be just iron phosphate batteries. So we're going to be replacing them with different batteries, if we're even replacing them, as opposed to just replacing the whole vehicle. And Ford, part of the news I've got, I guess, for tonight, I'll mention that Ford now in the States, I think this is a done deal, that at the end of leases, they're taking back that vehicle. 2 reasons. One, they can make sure the battery's safe. They can keep control of the whole battery process. 2, hopefully that means the prices on the leases will come down, because right now at the end of a Mach-E lease, I'd predict that the payments are kind of a little high on the lease, but it's worth a lot more than the residual at the end. In Canada, we're still able to buy back our vehicles, but do pay attention when you lease a vehicle. Does that lease ask, is this a lease with option to purchase. So it's called a lease agreement with option to purchase. That means you get to buy back the vehicle at the end, or the dealership can offer you a price for it, a trade-in value, and you might get, you know, $5, $10, or even $15,000 more for it. We've seen this with diesels for years, and now I think we're going to see it with electric vehicles, unless there's a huge flooding. But I think for about the next 10 years, at least 5 years, possibly 10, we're going to see much more demand for electric vehicles than actual supply. And Ford is working hard on producing, having more supply. Now for our show, I'm going to take a couple more questions, so you can just repeat them now. I'm going to take a couple more questions because I told Marie this would be a 30-minute show. She's
It's always more along that reason.
I roped her in, I guess.
But
I didn't mean to.
I hope everybody is happy with that, because even if it's more longer than we think at the first time, I'm happy that you respond to the question for everybody. So I hope for you, you enjoy it too.
That's true. In French, when you're in trouble with your wife, it's called chicaner. It's the verb to chicane, but chicaner is when your wife kind of gives you heck, you could say. And I got in heck last time. She's like, you didn't answer everyone's question. You talked too much. And this was like a subject of conversation in between the two lives. So this went on for like 2 weeks. She's like, you know, if you're going to do it 2 weeks after, if you're going to do another live, you better not talk. You better have one subject. You're only allowed one subject to bring to the table, and the rest is answering.
And after that, respond to the question. But at the same time, it's because you don't respond on 30 seconds for a question. You go in the details. So that's why I think people love your response. So that's a good thing. You talk a lot. You give a lot of details that not everybody can tell.
You're really sweet. I'm really lucky to have you, not just in the looks department. I do get reminded on the channel in the comments section. I was told I married up. It's called marrying up. So yeah, no, Marie's much better looking than I am. Yes,
Thank you.
but she's also nicer than I am, because, honey, I'd say that what's happened actually is, I guess the people that don't like my material or how I answer questions, they're just like, no, this guy is always going to give a long-winded answer. And I am able to answer things very directly and have it be one sentence, but I do not like ambiguity, and I don't like leaving unanswered questions, because for me, that's like these thumbnails that say no more dealers, and not question mark, exclamation mark, which an exclamation mark means you're saying no more dealers.
It's an affirmation.
It's like a loud, strong, assertive affirmation. So that's not how I want my answers to be. I want my answers to be full, leave no doubt, and I get head scratchers if I'm like, what? I talked about that. I talked about that for 5 minutes. How did the person interpret the opposite of what I meant to communicate? So I do try to be excessive in my answering, but I don't want to leave any unanswered questions or ambiguity.
That's good. So we have another great question here from West Peak. What do you see is the biggest reason to go to Lariat versus XLT?
Yeah, great question. Last summer I did a segment of videos of like why XL, why XLT, why Lariat. So my best answers are actually going to be in those. And actually my why XLT has 250,000 views, and I do talk a bit about, why I wouldn't go to a Lariat. And really, I do like to have an order guide in front of me. I do like to have the build and price in front of me. But a lot of people, I think, here's the don't be fooled. A lot of people will compare an XLT with luxury package to a Lariat and then go, hey, they're almost the same price, so why Lariat? Well, the problem is the why Lariat with the kind of like idea of it's not worth it depends where you live. Because do recall that just because you up to a Lariat doesn't mean you get everything that was on that XLT Lux. Actually, you're losing the heated seats from recollection, because I don't have it right in front of me, but you're losing heated steering wheel. So I'd say, why would I Lariat? Basically the interior. But then why would I not Lariat? Well, because then in my climate, we don't have the heated seats. Oh, we don't have the heated steering wheel. And then you know, the bed doesn't come with the plastic. It doesn't come with a hitch. So I end up adding all that to the Lariat, and then I'm just like, no, I'm too cheap for this. So that's why my sweet spot was an XLT Lux, because I was like, you know what? I'm getting everything that I want and the things I kind of need to keep her happy. Heated seats, to keep her happy, heated steering wheel, and heated exterior mirrors is nice. And I definitely wanted a hitch, and I definitely wanted the bed. Now, of course, had I wanted just the hitch and the bed, I would have gone Lariat. If our climate was a little warmer, I'd say the real deal is a Lariat Maverick, because you're getting a vehicle that feels pretty darn luxurious. It feels luxurious because you get inside, and Activix is recycled plastic, great for the environment. Not the cheapest to produce. This isn't a cost-saving measure. This is an environment-saving measure. And it's
That's
fantastic.
great. We need more of that.
Yeah, and the Maverick handles really well, by the way, and takes bumps somewhere in between a truck and an SUV. So it's a little rough on the bumps, but it also offers great cornering. So I always accept something that's a little hard on the bumps when it offers great cornering. And for a lot of people out there, basically people who don't live in Quebec, your roads are so much better that you won't even notice that the suspension on the Maverick is a little rough. But do recall, everything in life is about pros and cons, and it's a balance between the two. So the Maverick can take 1,500 pounds. Theoretically, how Ford did the media marketing, talking about mulch bags in the back, it was actually calculated to basically 1,500 pounds just in the box, and the payload of the whole truck's 1,500 pounds. So you should always consider the passengers, the weight inside the vehicle. But it's not something that only takes, 600 pounds in the box like the Santa Cruz. I expect the Santa Cruz to be a lot better on bumps, which it's not, because it can only handle 600 pounds in the box. Just like a Dodge Ram 1500, I expect the suspension to be a lot better on the bumps, because it can only take about 1,350 pounds. If it's a classic 1500, it can only take about 1,350 pounds total on the vehicle, whereas Ford F-150 normally gets limited by its tires. The tire sticker is at about 1,800. The gross vehicle weight rating minus the weight of the truck actually usually unlocks about 2,000 to 2,200 pounds, and you can always get the heavy payload package and have about 2,500 pounds. We had a question. Terrence Mooney earlier said Johnny with a question mark,
question.
which makes me think he's got an important one earlier.
Yeah. What dealership do you work at, Johnny?
Oh, well,
it's a big coming out tonight.
That's like the question of, are we gonna have kids? Are we gonna have kids get? It's rough on her. It's the question she's not a huge fan of, and that's the question.
That bad, but we just don't know. So it's hard to respond to that one.
I feel safer with a bit of I'm having trouble pronouncing things tonight. It's getting past my bedtime, but I like to stay a little bit anonymous, so I feel safer that way. I don't necessarily like to say like, hey, you can find me right here. And it's not because I'm scared of the group that's here tonight. It's more just in general. Like, I wouldn't want to over the internet give out my personal address, but I do invite you to the Facebook page, Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. So come join us on Facebook. You will get some private photos, but you won't get photos of my house with the exact address and street name on it. I did that in one video, and someone commented like, hey, you live exactly here. That's a nice neighborhood. And I was like, whoa. And maybe I don't want Ford to find me. No. If I could, this is going to sound crazy, but if I could live without a social insurance number and not be branded by the government from birth, I would have been happy not having a birth certificate and not having a social insurance number. I don't like the idea of being watched, followed, and I like it when you guys all watch me, because I love giving out the info. I like hanging out, but I don't like basically feeling like I'm in a position to be, like, I don't want to be ever told like, hey, you specifically can't talk about this, or your job is gone. I don't respond well to threats, and I don't like feeling like I'm watched. But if ever, someone were to contact me on the Facebook page and say, look, I live in this area, and what dealerships would you recommend? I'll know some dealerships definitely to stay away from, and I'll probably will, even if it's outside of the Ford brand, I will definitely outside of the Ford brand be able to recommend dealerships to you. I know people at different dealerships of different manufacturers, and I definitely know some very bad dealerships, and I know some good dealerships, and I know some excellent dealerships. So my goal is to help but keep just a little bit of privacy, but you do get a little extra look. I try to give a little extra look in the membership with more private videos, and I'm working on having more, of course. When Ford just basically every week Ford has news, and it's hard to keep up with all this news, and it's also hard, I'd say, to keep up with a lot of the misinformation or the misleading information. And if big media is going to put out bad info, well, that's an extra video I got to do in the week. If YouTube video gets 1 million views and it's giving the wrong impression, well, I feel like I just have to clear that up. I've always, since I was a little kid, I always had to feel that things were fair. Thank goodness my parents didn't send me to school with like those special little lunch snacks, because I wouldn't have felt fair. I would have had to given it away if someone didn't have one. But instead, I was the kid that just had the super boring bologna sandwich and nothing else. So it didn't cause me problems. So off that personal story.
Was supposed to be a quick response.
Yeah.
That's funny. We have another question here. Any news on when the official release for the next generation Ranger could be?
Yeah, so it's come out in Europe, and I'm suspecting and hoping, because it's going to be a 2024, right, for our market. So as a 2024 for our market, I'm going to suspect, if we're lucky, at one of the spring shows or a summer show. So spring or summer 2023. And one of the big ones. So that means New York, Chicago, probably New York or Chicago, Detroit. I can't remember all the shows' names because I've always followed this stuff, but names just don't stick in my head. I'm just like, this is the new model, I want to know more. And I'm not thinking about who unveiled it or where it was unveiled.
Next question, I love it, from Dale Martin, because it's not about Bronco or Maverick, so it's another model that we don't speak often, so I love it. Do you think the new Fusion SUV crossover will be hybrid or electric?
Yeah, great question. I'd say hybrid first, and maybe it's going to go down the traditional road of being a hybrid year one, and then a little bit later, a plug-in, and then electric. However, the Ontario plant for Ford is going to be building 5, I highly suspect, electric or electrified vehicles. So I'm suspecting those to be plug-in or all-out electric. So Fusion is going to be built in Mexico. Oh, well, no, who knows, because it's a new platform. When it's a new platform, it can go anywhere. So hard to say. I really don't expect it will not come out as a gas only. And in our market, we can all forget diesels. Diesels are dead in our market. Sorry, unless it's for towing very, very heavy. Unless it's through necessity, manufacturers aren't going to give up cafe points for needless diesels. And to pass testing here, if you have a diesel, you got to cheat those numbers. Wink, wink. No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything other than people who've actually been caught doing this. And I won't list any manufacturers who've been caught cheating numbers, because you either know the story or you don't know the story. But some have cheated the numbers to make diesels work.
Perfect. We have another question, but this one is for me. It's our friend Russell that joined the live. I'm searching the word. Sorry.
The live session, the episode.
Yeah, he joined it. Not earlier. What's the opposite?
Later.
Later. Well, thank you. I was searching the word. So he said he hopes we are doing well, and he just turned in. So any news on my Maverick build date? So you missed it, Russell. I still not have news, but the good news is the 2023 Maverick will come soon. So maybe my order will switch for that one, and I would really like it. So I'll continue to wait, and I'll let you know when I will have it.
However, in Canada, I don't know how price protection, I have nothing confirmed yet on how price protection or maybe a rebate from Ford will go. So you might end up spending a little bit more getting a 2023.
Yeah, that's the thing. But at the same time, having a 2022, it's already like 1 year gone.
And that doesn't matter if you keep them 7 years or more. But us, who are likely going to keep it 1 to 4 years,
that's why I wanted
it
2022.
definitely affects us. Because if we keep it 1.5 or 2 years, the trade value could vary by, you know, $4,000. So if the 2023 in Canada does cost us a little more, well, we know her plug-in Escape ordered, we ordered that summer 2020. Had we finally taken possession of that, let's say in September, October, had we not canceled it when we ordered up the Maverick, which we didn't have a choice, the dealer was like, no, pick, which is fair. But had we not done that, we would have been price protected on that. But that was because it was authorized by Ford, and it was like, hey, do these 2 processes, because it wasn't just a regular, it was actually needed, it would have required a specific permission to get the very original. That could happen with the Maverick, and I'll have to wait and see. One thing I am impressed by, though, is I think it was my sources, I believe that it was mid-May or early June of this year that I started to say there's going to be a lot of carryovers. And I tried to put it, you know, softly. And I was like, you know, Marie's going to be a carryover, and, you know, wink, wink, hint, hint. Hers got accepted in the system back then. I was saying July 17th, but the official date when Ford accepted it, and she has like her Dora, it's dated for the, well, no, not Dora, but anyways, her sheets for her dates are July 30th. That's when Ford accepted your sheet. And I think I've actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think I've seen your Dora twice. I'm usually looking at other people's Mavericks, Broncos, and everything else, but I think I've seen your Dora twice, and I do believe that, I checked into it once because I was like, what's going on here? Did Marie get like priority 19, or did she get 99?
100.
Did Marie get 99? And I was like going through and looking, and I do recall I found the door, and I was like, oh, she's not 99. Like, why is this taking so long? Beyond, well, just battery. The Mach-E, I guess it's a known fact. It's out there. The Mach-E is costing about $24,000 on average more to produce. I'd say likely 90 to 95% of that price increase is just the battery. So globally, there's issues when it comes to batteries. And actually, I had notes for this show, and I didn't even get to the notes. So the bad news or good news is that there will need to be either another live or one of our properly edited videos with lots of pictures coming up. And usually my general rule of thumb is to never have a live over 1 hour and to aim for 30 minutes. So I guess I'll probably save my notes for another time. But yeah, big note, just really important that I point out. Currently, if you have a VIN, don't change, like ideally don't change anything on it. And if you do get pushed to a 2023, well, you will have a chance to move amongst trims, but currently you would not, while you're potentially getting a build, you're not getting a build because you're a hybrid and you're Lux. So right now they're only going to be building Mavericks for, well, scheduling for September, or basically what's going to be getting built in September and October. October is just going to be Mavericks that are EcoBoost without Lux package. So you're still getting pushed. You're going to be a 2023. And this, this was sort of information or a mix of, it was educated speculation. It was based on data as well as a little bit of speculation. And that's why I was saying I suspect that she will get a 2023. I wasn't just throwing a dart completely blindfolded in the dark. It was about actual intel I was getting, but not specific. But I made it specific by, reading a couple tea leaves. But now I'm still basically you're getting a 2023. So I wanted to quickly mention, once you're potentially, like currently you wouldn't want to change from a Lariat to an XLT. So just do keep that in mind. So one of the questions that came up, normally when Ridgeview's helping us out, I think, by saying, that's a great question, which means we'll go check it out because Ridgeview's the man. He knows what's going on. And he's definitely, thank you so much, Ridgeview. You've been a huge help this evening and every evening. And I also want to mention a huge thank you to the members, which I'll let you answer the question and I'll...
we have two good questions here. So, are Mavericks built in connective VIN number or random order? Yeah, I can let you read that.
Wow, Tien Bubba, that is a question I should have right off the top of my head. But I don't, because locally we're getting not enough. Like, my local dealership isn't a dealership that'll receive, let's say, 75 Mavericks in the same week or even month. It's more like 7 Mavericks in a month, which these days, because of transport situations, might actually all show up the same day or 2 days apart, which is, a nightmare. You get no vehicles for 2 or 3 weeks, and then within 1 or 2 weeks, you get a month's worth of vehicles. That has been a logistical nightmare on the dealership end. But I should know the answer to that, and I think for that one, we'll just have to rely on Tim Bartz or Google it up. Because that's an incredible question. I'm really sorry I'm not able to. I have an inkling, but it's not. It wouldn't be one of my speculations, which usually means that I'm saying something without wanting to get in trouble for saying it.
Another good question. So my Maverick is supposed to be built in end of August, delivered end of September. Do you think it will arrive?
No, yeah, currently with current transport, like I did in my episode right before this, the premiere episode where we all chit-chat via the live, and I'm part of that chit-chat and I see everything go by. Well, here I don't see everything go by because I'm on. Transport, I've had things stay, and Montreal, it's not just Montreal. I watched Tim Bart's show, of course, and I know in Kansas there is some bottlenecking, so there's so many of these containers and only so many employees. So what happens is you get these containers and they don't get unloaded, and then there's also shipping issues, transport issues once they're on, those big old awesome trucks. Our haulers, our transport people that really keep society running. Thank you very much. But there's delays there. So we've had some vehicles be at the rail yard for 1 month, the final rail yard. It hurts. 1 month and 2 months, even 2 months. And then you've got, people who are like, hey, I'm just going to go and pick it up. Let's say you're a rail company and in your rail yard, you've got 15,000 containers. You're not going to let just anyone in and say, no, trust me, I'm here to pick up my vehicle, and let them unpack the container. They're responsible for the condition of that vehicle. So unfortunately, if you don't, at this point, end of August, it's the beginning of August, in a week, when you're 2 weeks away, I'd say there's almost no chance you're getting pushed back. But when you're still, let's say 3 weeks, 4 weeks away, still a small chance you might get a little bit of a push. So your build date could get pushed by Ford. And then I normally would say under regular good conditions, it's built, it's at your dealership 3 to 4 weeks later. Yeah, absolutely. These days, no, you could get a month delay from Ford, and you could get a month delay because of transport.
Good. A question from Javier. He said, are chips and Sasquatch still big restraint? So for the chips, we know that, but the Sasquatch, do you think it's a big restraint? Yeah,
that's a really good question. The Sasquatch, of course, there's a ton of demand. But the Sasquatch is at 44%. So these aren't immediate numbers. This isn't what's going on last month or this month. But let's say Ford can build 10,000 Broncos in a month. And let's say they do build 10,000 Broncos in a month. Well, 44% of that can be Sasquatch. So that's 4,400. The problem is when you start stacking things that are in a little bit low supply, or what you could really, the real problem is in high demand. Sasquatch is in high demand. There's catch up. Now, at my local dealer, which really followed all Ford's instructions to the letter. Ordering a Sasquatch is far from a nail in the coffin. It's the difference between, maybe instead of waiting 4 months for your Bronco, maybe it adds a month, maybe 2. When could it start adding more? Like I mentioned earlier in the video, dealer allotment versus where you are on their list. Super important to ask, especially for the Lightning. Still for the Bronco, I still think that if you've waited 2 years for your Bronco, or a year and a half, and you don't have a VIN, you want to consider asking your dealer these questions, because the end result probably is that you're ordering a second one somewhere else, but you need to ask the right questions to make sure you actually get it, which I covered in the live. But the real problem is when you start stacking. Guaranteed not getting your Bronco if you ask for paint protection film. Absolutely avoid that. But let's say you ask for a safari bar, which 16% of the production can be safari bar. Well, if they have 25% demand, well, right there you're causing a bit of a problem. Towing capability, it's at 51%. That's excellent. I still suspect that more than 51% of orders are asking for the towing capability. So if you ask for just towing and a Sasquatch at the right dealer, and I've personally seen this. I have photos all throughout my phone of Broncos and the equipment that they have. You can definitely get by ordering. Heck, you can order a 2.7 liter with Sasquatch and tow, and it can absolutely show up. That will show up in a relatively decent amount of time with soft top, let's say 6 months at a dealer that's, up to date. Hard top, maybe, then maybe you're going to hit like 8 months. But if you really start to compound all the constrained things, that's where your problems are going to be, because really you're just decreasing the likelihood of being pickable, to be buildable. And you're more likely putting yourself in line, and really it's kind of like competition. You can kind of see it as if you take everything that would make the Bronco like as desirable as possible. Basically, if you build your Bronco like you want to burn money to heat your home, like you've got too much money and you don't know what to do with it, well, if you build that kind of Bronco, you're getting in line with people that have been waiting for 2 years, and that's where your real problems are going to be. So yeah, go ahead, Sasquatch. I just I even had a hard top Sasquatch show up recently, and the two-door Wild Track, that was ordered in, the black one in the video before, that was ordered in January, but at absolutely the right dealership.
Perfect. We have an interesting question here from the WB. He said, do you have any opinion? What do you think of the Jeep Gladiator? And later in the comments, he said he was more talking about the Gladiator orders. You know about that? Because Mr. Peugeot said he don't know if they are turning them as quickly, but maybe Dr. Detroit would know it. But do you know something about that?
I don't know about order. I suspect from my recollection, I know ordering a Jeep Rubicon, you're not going to wait that long, and I don't think you're going to wait, and I don't think it's based on my memory. I don't think you're waiting all that long for a Jeep Gladiator. And you know what? You'll probably find something pretty decent relatively to your liking already sitting on the lot. And if you do order one, I think my recollection was like it's a 2 to 4 month wait. There's not the Gladiator and the Jeep Wrangler doesn't have this huge line. There's not a big a lineup. People aren't rushing in. These aren't, Krispy Kreme donuts. There's not a line that goes around the block for these delicious Montreal donuts.
So good.
Yeah, she's on vacation, so I'm subliminal messages. I put the idea in her head.
You want to took me at the Krispy Kreme.
I secretly yes. build it up so that when I do it, she'll ask me thinking it's her idea, and I'll be like, yeah, I guess I could do that. I don't really feel like driving to Montreal, but I guess I could do that for you. And then I'll sneak in a walk at the plateau, and she'll be like, wow, I got everything I wanted. And I'll be like, yeah, you got everything you wanted. But anyways, I'm plugging these things in advance. But now I've ruined it because I've said it. But just showing you the psychology behind really great marketing. Really great marketing, you don't know you're being sold on an idea. The really amazing marketing is when you think the idea was yours. The Rubicon got me that way because I thought it was my idea. They must be doing some subliminal messaging because I was like, I'm getting myself a Rubicon. And it was the 2-door, so I wasn't making things easier on myself, and actually originally wanted to get a used, 1-year used Gladiator. It sold quickly, but it was actually for sale because the owner had transmission issues. So, yeah, anyways, Chrysler. Pros and cons to everything. It doesn't mean it's bad. Just, yeah, it had transmission issues. And even I think Car and Driver Road and Track with their 1-year test mule, it also had transmission issues at 10,000 miles. And that's right about when this person traded in their Gladiator. But yeah, I don't expect long waits for Gladiators. You can pick up something pretty decent already sitting on a lot. And they're fine. Our opinion on it is I was really sold on the idea of getting a Rubicon. I loved how it looked. It hit every single checkbox in regards to look, except for that little nose in the front. I was like, boy, is a Bronco ever so massive. But I was happy. It was going to be her Rubicon, and I'd feel like I'm in the excessively, big machine. And, she can have her aggressive looking little Rubicon. And
It would have been fun to have the Broncos and the Jeep at the same time. So.
Yeah, it would have been fun. It was cool, but roads here are bad. And when I was bringing it back, I went through a corner. It's a corner with a ton of holes, and it was enough to actually get the vehicle skipping. And I've got in my neck, I can easily squish a nerve, and then I get a sore neck for several days, and it constantly pops when I turn. And I have my back, and my back is just, it hurt my back, and then I had to deal with a sore back. I have a back that always hurts, but I just deal and live with, the 1 to 2 out of 10 pain. But if I injure my back, then I can get to a 10 and be completely immobile, and or just medicated and random tears come out of my eyes because of the pain, and I try to hide the...
Yeah, it's not funny.
Yeah, it's not fun.
And funny fact, the Rubicon, when we turned the motor on, was doing almost as much noise as the Mustang GT.
Yeah, we kinda...
like we're waking up the neighborhood.
Yeah, that didn't bother us. There's a lot of things that we liked on the Rubicon, but the suspension was a no-go for me. And I didn't have to worry about reliability because I was like, well, honestly, I'm going to own this for 6 months to a year. It'll be 3 months to 1 year. 3 months means I didn't really like the vehicle generally, or I wasn't in love with it. 6 months means I actually liked it quite a bit. And if I keep something for a year, it means I'm blown away.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle. And by the way, I had a Bronco September 10th, 2021, and I still have a Bronco, which means I absolutely love it. I definitely feel, don't tell Ford this, my official response is, Ford, the Bronco's so way overpriced. Ford, let's not let them know, but I feel it's a real steal of a deal. The amount of happiness I get out of that, honestly, it's
totally different.
Now that I've had one, I can say, for me, it's worth an extra $40,000. But Ford, don't increase it by $40,000. The prices are insane these days. Lower the prices. But the joy it gives me, for me, I like it more than... I laugh, like I see these YouTubers, they get really big and they're like, I'm getting a Ferrari, and I'm like, you're getting problems, you sucker. Whereas with the Bronco, I'm like, hey, I'm as happy, but a different kind of happy. I'm off-road, rugged happy, as opposed to, I woke you up. Haha, you're woken up too, out of a Ferrari. That's the Ferrari fun. But then, everything in regards to maintenance and repairs, it's like, come on, no matter how big your YouTube channel is, don't encourage. We talk about, nasty dealers, and I get all upset. I'm like, stop blaming the manufacturers. This isn't them. You want to blame a manufacturer? Go with beloved, lying their pants off Ferrari. And I say that as a reference to them having shaken and given a verbal contract to sell Ferrari to Ford, and then they just, cheated them. But it's also because I feel that Some Ferrari dealerships are amazing. I have a friend in university. His dad went to buy one, and he was told straight up, "You're happy with the Ferrari price?" And he answered, "Yeah, no problem." "Are you happy buying a second Ferrari?" He said, "No, I only want one Ferrari." And then the salesperson was like, "Well, buying one Ferrari, you need to realize you're buying two Ferraris, because keeping it on the road, that's what you need to imagine it's going to kind of cost you. Just put it in your head that you need to have two Ferrari money for one Ferrari." So that's insane. Come on, don't throw your money out the window. Buy an old MR2 and just put like 20 grand into it, and it'll still be cool.
Yeah, it's throwing
Or
money by
Supra.
the window too.
Buy
maybe.
a Supra, buy a Skyline, buy an Audi R8 used. You're getting a lot of fun.
Yeah, but maybe preparation costs a lot.
Had we gone? We weren't live anymore?
Yeah, we're still here. No, that's fine.
Oh, there's a
It
little
was
thing that says,
false,
now you're live. Okay.
Yeah, false alarm. I guess it's because we hit the 2 hours. That's why. We have a question here from Andy. He says, "I'm putting an order for an XLT Maverick, just 2,000 live."
Yeah, pound.
Pounds, sorry, in English. Trailer hitch. Other than that, an easy build. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, very easy build. Super. Did he say hybrid though?
I'll just come back.
EcoBoost, super easy build. You know, I'd suspect at the right dealership that didn't take way more, if they didn't draw in and take reservations from all over but are a small dealership, if they're a big dealership like Long MacArthur, getting clients from out of state, it's not a problem. They're a huge dealership, and they've been a huge dealership for a very long time, so their allotments are already properly set up. Whereas if you're a tiny little dealership, or a small or even a medium dealership, and you draw an insane amount of clients, because you talked about this $1,000 rebate, but then you've got people that realistically are going to get a vehicle in 4 years, and they'll never get that original price anyways. They're going to have to deal with inflation and whatnot. That is very problematic. But if you order from, if you follow my advice and my steps, you order from the right dealership. No, very easy build. Don't worry about it. If it's a hybrid, well, all hybrid, it's the batteries. I don't think anyone yet has come out and publicly said this, but I've been saying I highly suspect since like last September, and then really was like, I really suspect, and I'm quite certain since about October, November, because the whole, EPA numbers story didn't make sense to me. Well, it did make sense to me, but then as soon as the EPA numbers occurred, well, then you'd expect if everything was hunky-dory on batteries, you'd get, 50% hybrid production. And do remember that a factory or a manufacturer, when you're bringing out a new product, do understand that even when you have, let's say 100% Ford people buying into a vehicle, well, you have a decent idea of what they want. But when 70% of your people come from elsewhere, then you've got problems, because these are non-Ford people. You don't know what's going to attract them. And this is why originally I was like, hold on, a front wheel drive truck? Because traditional Ford truck buyers have had this, this whole like, hey, if it's not 4x4, it's not a real truck, except back in the 90s when Ford clientele were more like, oh yeah, 2x4 truck, sure. And those would often go out to like farms and construction companies. But anyways, basically what I'm just trying to say is you can't order, everything is from, when you build a vehicle, there's so many parts, like thousands of parts, and you've got so many suppliers, and you can't in advance know that you need to make a contract for, let's say, 100,000 hybrid batteries before the product has been launched out. And it's even more difficult. The hybrid is, everything electrified at Ford basically right now is at taking sales from other brands. 60% and more. So lots of new faces at Ford. So hard to judge for.
We have another great question from Nick Bacco.
It needs to be one of the last ones too.
Yes, it's almost done.
I'm losing my
Thank
voice.
you for helping us tonight. We have so great questions. So Nick Bacco says, hi there. What is the way to get the 2023 Bronco Raptor?
Oh, Nick, great question. And it's ties into how can I get a 2023 Bronco, how can I get a 2023 Lightning, and how can I get a 2023, Mach-E, really, or Maverick, any of these popular models. One, you absolutely need to make sure that you buy from the right dealership under the right conditions. So please watch my 10 steps video. Also, heck, the Raptor, pretty much every dealership at this point probably, the Raptor is worse than the Lightning in the sense that whether it's a Raptor F-150 or a Raptor Bronco, the dealerships that sell Raptors, some dealerships will get more, but likely they're all sold out. I know locally, a Bronco Raptor, if I throw my name into the ring, I'm going to be in 3 or 4 years because they're getting one Raptor. Bigger dealerships, like quite big dealerships, might get 4, maybe even 6 Bronco Raptors. So there's not going to be a huge abundance of these vehicles. And once again, you need to ask, how many are you going to get per year, roughly? If I order, where am I on your list? And if they tell you you're the first one and the only one, or they tell you, we're getting 10 and you're, don't worry about it, you're the 6th, I'd almost be inclined to be like, hey, can you get a picture of your Excel sheet where you keep these names? Because within a business, there are separate businesses, you could think of it as. Each salesperson, you might have one guy that knows what's going on, and you might have one guy that just tells everyone, you're the first one, you're my first. And we've all heard, some of us have heard that story, you're my first. So don't always believe it when someone tells you you're their first.
Perfect. I see that there is more question that I was thinking. Maybe we could do 1 hour more with that. What do you think if I take screenshot and we continue with another live?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And I think it'd also be great if people come back and in case, because when you're taking screenshots, I even make mistakes when I'm taking screenshots of news I want to cover. And I do try to cover everything. I definitely don't just take, one phrase that Jim Farley or 2 phrases that Jim Farley mentioned and then be like, hey, here's proof. There's going to be no more dealerships because he said this. Yes, but he also said a whole bunch of other stuff where he said, dealerships are going to continue to be an integral part of all of this. So that's why I've gone ahead and say this is what dealerships are going to look like in the future. It's based on what Jim Farley said, and it's also based on what dealerships themselves are being told. And it's also based on sort of the plans that certain plans get shared, like this is the direction, we hope to be going in, this is where we think things will go. So it's a bit of a mix of a lot of information. So yeah, we'll take screenshots in the next live.
It's done. So we won't forget you. Sorry, we didn't have that much time for all these questions. We appreciate your participation. So it's helping us with the live. And it's always great to see what people are thinking, what they didn't know. They want more information. So thank you for the participation, and I took it as a screenshot for the next time, so we won't forget you.
Yeah, and do keep in mind, sometime in the future I'm going to be giving out cool information because this actually might be real bad news. And I shouldn't have said cool. I was thinking of something else. Some people are going to be really disappointed because Ford is going to be working on reducing the number of options. And I'm going to talk about that more. I didn't get a chance to talk about it tonight. So the next thumbnail might be, bad news because this is potentially bad news. There was talk about limiting options. So even on for example, the F-150, they could cut the regular cab, just like, Ranger, you either have crew or super cab. They could even cut the super cab out of the F-150, and you already see that, you already see a bit of that. At factory, non-crew on an F-150, I've seen as low as 3% of total builds being allotable towards non-crew. So that means super cab and regular cab. So some of us lament, and some of us lament the fact that you can't get a regular cab Ranger with more box. We might be in a situation where the idea of getting, an 8-foot box F-150 regular cab, that might be going out the window. So we'll talk a bit more about that story. We'll share some thoughts, and I look forward to getting feedback from you all. I can't believe we sat at over 100 people watching, between 100 to 200, mid 200s throughout the video. So thank you so much for sticking out and hanging out with us this evening. I do truly mean it when I say I've enjoyed this evening, because my plan was 30 minutes and we were going to watch our little couples TV series. Stranger Things is unfortunately over, but we decided to stay together even if our show's over, just in case they get back for a 5th season. But we're now watching a new show. We still haven't decided how we feel about Lock and Key. But anyways, we watch our little couples show.
But for tonight, I guess we'll go straight to the bed because I'm a little bit sick. So
yeah, we'll.
We won't do the party tonight. Sorry, honey.
No, I think you definitely deserve a nice. Well, no, it's already hot enough, so no bubble bath. But I'll find some way to make this up for you with dealing through your beginning of sickness and me on the end of being sick. But thank you so much. I'm going to speak for myself. I should never speak for her. She's got her own voice, but I've really enjoyed hanging out this evening. I really have had fun. Otherwise, I would have been here for 30 minutes. I had, 15 minutes of news if I said it real quick, and maybe, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of asking questions. So thank you so much for bringing awesome questions. It's been a fun night. I always prefer to drink my water with great company, and you've all been great company.
Yes. Thank you all. It was so much fun to see all the comments. Wow, the chat was really alive tonight.
It was. I think the young ones are calling things fire. They don't say cool anymore.
It was on fire.
Yeah, it was on fire. We had our nieces. We babysat our nieces, so we learned things through them. Thank you so much. So we're heading out. Have a great one. I do wish you all more cars and more power. Hey, 90% of this channel is about trying to get y'all your cars faster. Get out the right information about what to avoid, what to throw on an order. So we'll continue doing that right here. We'll continue to keep you updated with order banks. So wishing you all more cars and more power. Do hope you get to put the pedal to the metal if that's your thing. Now, I don't think it's Maggie's thing, because I did a video where I put the pedal to the metal on the MR2, and I think she was somewhere between absolute loathing and absolute love. Like, I think it varied, because
it wasn't in between. It was being on a roller coaster. Maybe
it was
fun but scary at the same time, but it was fun.
So that's called adrenaline. Welcome to being an adrenaline junkie. And yes, sometimes it does end with a cracked motorcycle helmet or skidoo helmet, or I've hit my head a bunch of times. And on that bombshell, have a great night, everyone. Wishing you all more cars and more power if that's your thing. Ridgeview, thank you so much for being YouTube's best moderator. Wish you all a great one, and hope to get to hang out again soon. Yeah. We'll try to do these generally Friday nights. It's sometimes hard to gauge, but if Friday night worked for y'all, go back into the regular comment section once this becomes public and type in comment Friday night or Sunday night. And if you are if you are a gold medalist in regards to being able to watch super long YouTube videos and you made it this far, do put in finisher in the comment section. Congratulations. You won, but I don't have anything to offer you. So take care, y'all.
Good night, everybody.